We went this time for a smaller set of decisions to be made. And what we wanted to do is to see whether people come to a decision a bit more easily when they have a smaller decision to make. Now, the smaller one here is in quotes. It's basically to say when they have more of a smaller subset of the budget to discuss. And I think the bit that we've definitely seen is that there's definitely something that was quite different from when people are discussing the whole budget. We had one group within a county which was well facilitated, had all the materials that you would want to see in a public forum, and have a women-only group, basically do the whole adjustment of the bits where we think public participation can be improved. What we focus on a lot is how is it that the public can better understand how budgets are developed, how your money is spent, and everything in between. So our big focus is always on budget transparency. You as a citizen, how do you access your budgets? Do you understand them? Are they helpful for you whenever you're trying to understand what the government is doing? Secondly, we also focus a lot on public participation. The reason why we want the public to access budgets is because we want them to engage better. So for example, what we are doing today is part of our initiative to kind of see how is it that public participation can improve when it comes to how we prepare our budgets in the country. And now, of course, we have county and national. Every year in February, size took of February, every year in February, the national government, at the national level, that you still have your ministries and you still have your Ministry of Finance, at the national level, we have to decide how much money we are going to give all the sectors that exist in government. At the national level, we have 10 sectors. Okay? Now, the 10 sectors include sectors like health, education, public administration, and others. Under each of the sectors, you have ministries. So for example, under the sector education, you have a number of ministries there. You have a state department for basic education, you have a state department for university education, and the rest. So even in the budget, that is how the budget is arranged, is that you have 10 sectors. We have to decide how much money we give to each of those 10 sectors. Then when we've given each of those sectors their money, then now those sectors have to decide how much money they are going to give to each of their ministries. When we passed the constitution, we decided to split up shughuli za serikali. Government functions were broken up. We have some at the county and we have some at the national level. So when you're preparing a county budget, you have to make sure you are budgeting for functions that are given to counties. When you're planning for the national government and budgeting for it, you have to make sure you are putting in money into functions that belong to the national government for two big reasons. The first one is the one that Lucas has touched on. If you, for example, as a county, you decide to put money into security, probably the national government is also doing something on security and there's a risk of double allocation. Or in some cases, there's a risk of you will build a police station, but the national government had not planned to bring any policemen to your police station. So you end up with a shell of a building. The second one is that you have scenarios where there are some functions that are cost shared or they are concurrent as they are called in the constitution. So the best way to know which ones are that is that you have to keep the functions in mind so that you know there is a place where the national government is supposed to put some money and the county is also supposed to put in some money. What are those functions? Infrastructure has a big role in opening up the country, making connection easier, and making it easier for people to do business, to move around, and so on. So a lot of what we do under infrastructure is building our physical infrastructure, the capacity of a country physically. Do you have a transport system that works? In the sector of infrastructure. Now those two sectors, even from their names, they have two big but different objectives. Sekta ya elimu, kazi yake ni kutengeneza wananchi ambao wanaweza kushughulikia zile challenges ambazo tuko nazo kama nchi. You are building the capacity of a country in terms of its human labor, the capacity to deal with the challenges that the country is dealing with. the capacity to implement the priorities ambazo serikali inajaribu kufanya. We are trying to make it easier for people to do business. We are trying to make it easier for people to move from point A to point B. And you are trying to make the cost of living to be affordable because it's not very expensive to do business.
I'm also trying to look at this very department in terms of the 4 pillars that the national government is currently talking about. That
the Big Four.
The Big Four. Housing is part of it. So if you're looking at it, it was 1 billion. Maybe in the next budget it's going to be even 20.
Why?
I'm just saying.
And what is wrong if it is 20? At what point do we have the shilling being strong? So to me, those are factors. And of course, okay, that is positive factors, but there could also be other factors.
Then why was it allocated in the following year?
Yes.
The reason is, one of the things that the national has not done, or the national government has not done well, however much they have transferred functions, but they don't follow it.
Yes, probably.
Are you understanding? They have transferred functions, but they've not transferred
the funds.
Resources.
Yes. So probably the first round of allocation, the assumption was money to afford it. And that is why so many of these governors were like, we put affordable houses, which they never did. The national government have done very well in terms of purporting to have transferred what? Functions. But they've not transferred what? Resources. So me, my thinking is this. I have 2 school of thoughts. First, and this is a political thought anyway, the first 5 years people were putting up structures. That's very political. People were putting structures to be functional. And probably that is why they never did what? They never put money for that.
When you look at the State Department for Petroleum, then we have the State Department for Energy. Actually, these 2 sectors that are started duplicating themselves.
So what in it?
Because when you look at this one, exploration and distribution of oil and gases, then you look at the other one up there, general administration, planning and support services, given 1 billion. Exploration of oil and gases given 5 billion. Could these 2 things be merged into one? That's an all-encompassing. Power generation is there, that is exploration. If we use wind energy, other sources of energy. So at least maybe they will give us details on this, but we have a bit of duplication across in these 2.
We have 2 functions in education sector that are devolved. We have the ECD and the youth polytechnic. Has the county government done enough to improve these 2 devolved programs of education? The little that the county government is getting, are they doing enough with that small they are getting to improve? I'm talking out of experience in this because I see the situation of my ECD school back at home.
The 2 sectors, apart from funding from the budget, can have self-funding. For example, SPCR, talent. On talent, we felt that talent is self-paying, and if you get to that level where your talent goes international, you can give back to the society, and that is a source of funding. And then there are other organizations, NGOs, have also invested on that sector, and other sectors within the government, like the National Government Affirmative Act Fund. So they get funding from all over, and that balances. The second reason, the other department, which is the GJLO, also has funding from AIAs, for example, in the correctional facilities. I really don't like using that word because it does not live up to its name. So the correctional facilities, these guys make antiques, they make furniture, they sell them. I believe these products from the prisons, that money should come back and help these various departments.
We were trying to see, after 4 years, we produce 1 million from 4 rivers. 70,000 got to university. Out of the 70,000, 10% are from focus and wanapiga. Remaining 930,000 ni wakulima, and they are not adding as much as infrastructure would. Garissa Road was built by NYS sometimes back. NYS guys are trained for 6 months. And they built that road, and it's one of the best roads in the country. So we don't need to put 70% in education so that we produce great minds. We just need to be organized.
People given time and the right kind of information can actually contribute to a discussion. And they don't need to know the granular details. They don't need to know every last detail of things. But for instance, I mean, we had the sectors that we were having debates around this time, you know, education and infrastructure, you know, and whether to invest more in capital development or in human development. People had ideas, and they were all speaking from the context that they were working from. Some of the information that we get, we pass it on to government because they are the ones ambao wanashughulikia hii mambo. Ingine sana tunataka ya kwamba wananchi wenyewe wanapoelimishwa wanachukua lile jukumu kuwa jukumu lao kuweza kuchangia haya mambo, kwa sababu ukishajua hii mambo vile ambapo ile process ambayo inafuatiliwa, unaweza kujua ni mambo gani ambayo unaweza ukafanya. Why is source of funding important?
The government has to know where it will get the money to fund a particular project. Will it be paid by the donors? Will it be a loan, or will it be from the taxes? So the source of funding must be known.
Priorities. Priorities ni nini kwa Kiswahili? Kipaumbele. Kipaumbele. Haya tuelezee. What do you think priorities are?
Haya ni baadhi ya miradi ambayo jamii ama serikali imeipangia iwe ni muhimu, ingawaje wako na mahitaji mengi, but yako yale machache ambayo wameona kwanza haya ni muhimu sana, ambayo itawasaidia hawaje. Unaweza kuwa na priorities mingi, but you have the best one ambayo unaona itakusaidia, ambayo inahitaji iwafikie jamii nzima.
Trade off, if I can explain it in the simplest term, ni ya kwamba it is not that you can do A without B. You need both A and B. It's a question of where do you put more emphasis? And that is informed by two things. One, your approach, whether it is on human capital versus physical capital. It's simply an approach. So social security has to do with not just the physical security of property, but it has to do basically with the safeguarding of well-being. What do I mean by this? Ya kwamba kama wewe ni mzee, ama wewe ni mtoto, ama wewe ni mlemavu, you have an opportunity to live a decent life.
For 65%, sometimes if you look at education, is sometimes economic-based or human. It requires a lot of human resource, which requires a lot of resources.
Yes.
On the other side of, and again, the moment we educate people, either through higher education, TVET and all that, people become more empowered. People will start their own businesses. The government will get taxes from these same people who are educated. They will use now these tax to build the infrastructure and economic growth.
I want us to draw back our minds to the time that Africa was getting their independence.
Yes.
That governments that invested in education first were able to absorb the students. Wenye walikuwa wanamaliza wakaabsorb kwa kazi vizuri. So the population was getting employed. But those governments that decided that they needed to send away the Europeans and the colonialists without getting the educated people, their companies were collapsing. So I tend to believe that the one that should get much more government support is education, so that it boosts the other projects.
The literacy is at over 80%. And then the infrastructure of education, they are still low, because we are talking about a community that has been marginalized for over 50 years. The other thing that is very contentious, the reason why answering that question is very difficult, we just discovered oil. Economy here is very poor. Employment rate is also very low. So while exploring energy might cause employment to the community around. So in my view, because they are all important, employment is as important as education, I will give it a 50-50.
Not all will be employed in the white-collar jobs, indicating that a lot of resources should go to education such that as many people as possible can be educated, and those ones who cannot be employed in the white-collar jobs can be employed, can self-employ themselves. In the infrastructure, as we have gone through the document, we have found that some sectors can provide money for itself, like the petroleum. It will sell its petrol and it will get its money from elsewhere. So I tend to think education should be given more. In this case, 70. And then the other one will get 30.
This sector is not doing well in their planning. There's poor planning here. Because you look at the allocation given to planning, in all the departments is higher, it's very high. But in terms of if you look and compare the ceilings of the previous budget to the next, you realize there's some sectors that are supposed to be active are failing, and they have an increase. So it's not doing well.
The units, the spending units under energy and infrastructure, they are numerous, and if you look at them, none of them you can rubbish. They are all critical in the economy. While when we go to the education, we find that the biggest chunk goes to remuneration of teachers. So when we allocate education more, it means that we'll have, when the Teacher Service Commission will find itself with a surplus, then it will give increments to teachers, which actually does not have a direct impact on the development of the society.
I think also a bit of the explanation by a facilitator also makes a difference, and that was critical, that when you get to explain to them, you get to probe a bit more, they may have some of these concepts, but in a different language. So not necessarily in the language that is used in the budget.
Priorities. Priorities ni nini kwa Kiswahili?
Kipaumbele.
Kipaumbele, haya tuelezee. What do you think priorities are?
Haya ni baadhi ya miradi ambayo jamii ama serikali imeipangia iwe ni muhimu, ingawaje wako na mahitaji mengi, but yako yale machache ambayo wameona kwanza haya ni muhimu sana, ambayo itawasaidia ingawaje unaweza kuwa na priorities mingi, but you have the best one ambayo unaona itakusaidia, ambayo inahitaji iwafikie jamii mzima.
Good. Ya kwamba kuna mahitaji mengi sana, lakini kuna yale mambo ambayo serikali imesema haya ndiyo mambo ambayo tungependa kupea kipaumbele, hao ndiyo mambo ambayo tungependa kushughulikia sana. Serikali mpya ya kitaifa ama ile national government, ni mambo gani ambayo imepea kipaumbele sana in the next 5 years? Nataka kusikia watu mwingine. Education. Lakini kuna mambo manne very specific. Infrastructure ama ile miundo msingi. Health. Industries. Manufacturing, yes. In fact, infrastructure is not there. Manufacturing. Ndio hiyo industries yote. Ile tukitoa value addition ya mahindi, value addition ya livestock. Jambo la tatu? No, food security is separate. Na food security pia imepea kipaumbele sana mambo ya food security. Na jambo la mwisho, kuna mambo manne. inaitwa Big Four. Maji haiko hapo. Affordable housing. So kuna mambo manne, kuna housing, kuna manufacturing, kuna food security and employment. Employment creation. Na kuna mambo ambayo wataendeleza kama health, haya yatazidi kuendelezwa mbele. So kuna mambo ambayo priorities ni kumaanisha kwamba kuna mambo haya mengi, lakini kila mwaka kuna yale mambo ambayo serikali inafanya ni priority.
The County Integrated Development Plan is a plan for each county for 5 years. So every time we are preparing a budget in Murang'a, we go back to that plan and say, ni vitu gani tulisema tutafanya? Because we need to get those things into our budget. So budgets don't come out of thin air. So even when we are doing our public participation and preparation for it, we need to know what is in those plans. Okay? So at the national level, we have Vision 2030, and we always also break it up into 5 years. Okay? So one of the things, so those are a couple of places to get information on what are the priorities, and do we actually want to give money to those priorities? Because the decision could be, in our plan, there is a big airport, but then people feel that's not the one to do right now. So having an interaction around what priorities are important right now is very useful to determine how much money you want to give to each of the sectors today.
Trade-off, if I can explain it in the simplest term, ni ya kwamba it is not that you can do A without B. You need both A and B. It's a question of where do you put more emphasis? And that is informed by two things. One, your approach, whether it is on human capital versus physical capital. It's simply an approach. So social security has to do with not just the physical security of property, but it has to do basically with the safeguarding of well-being. What do I mean by this? Ya kwamba kama wewe ni mzee, ama wewe ni mtoto, ama wewe ni mlemavu, you have an opportunity to live a decent life. To make contributions about how much money should we allocate to one sector or another, we need to remember that all these things matter.
How many sectors do we have in government? Who can guess? By the way, in this class and in this meeting, tutaguess mpaka tupate answer. Tunakubaliana hiyo? Hakuna mtu alikuja hapa akijua answer. So all of us will guess till we learn together. Is that fine? So how many sectors do you think we have in government? Yes. 18. That's a very smart answer. I know where the 18 has come from. Someone else? How many sectors do you think we have? Hii meza munaniangusha. Simu guess.
I think there are more than 20.
There are more than 20. Someone else? 24. 22. Naona generally niko around 20. The national government, unlike counties, they are not new. The national government and its ministries and sectors have been there for a long time, right? At the national level, we have 10 sectors, okay? Now, the 10 sectors include sectors like health, education, public administration, and others. When you go away during your own time, we'll leave that, those yellow files, those blue files that you have with you, is that you'll be able to see the 10 sectors in there. However, under each of those sectors, there are a number of ministries. So ile answer ilikuwa inapeanwa ya 18 ni ya ministries. Okay? So under each of the sectors, you have ministries. So for example, under the sector education, you have a number of ministries there. You have a state department for basic education, you have a state department for university education, and the rest. So even in the budget, that is how the budget is arranged. Is that you have 10 sectors, we have to decide how much money we give to each of those 10 sectors. Then when we've given each of those sectors their money, then now those sectors have to decide how much money they are going to give to each of their ministries.
When does the government fiscal year start? Mwaka wa serikali mwaka wa fedha wa serikali unaanza mwezi gani? Duncan? June? July? August? Are we guessing or doing? 1st of July, very correct. So the mwaka wa serikali unaanza tarehe 1 July na unaisha tarehe 30 June. So it's one full year of 12 months, starts in 1st of July and ends on 30th of June every year. At the time when we are preparing the budget, when we are implementing the budget for the current year, 2017-2018, which will end on 30th of June of 2018, we start preparing the budget for 2018-2019, which will start on 1st of July of 2018. Unaelewa hiyo? So tuna implement moja, na at the same time tunaanza prepare the other one. And at this particular point in the calendar of the government is ni ya kwamba we are at one of those stages on how the budget is prepared. And the stage we are in is when we decide how much money should we allocate to which sector. What are sectors? Just by thought, what do you think sectors are? Let me come to somebody who hasn't said anything for now. All the three of you have said something. The fourth of you have said something. Let's start with this gentleman.
Sector, I can say, is like a department or a ministry within the government.
Yes. So sector is a department or a ministry. It actually combines those two. A sector is a collection of ministries, departments, agencies that do a similar thing. For instance, when you talk about a sector like education, it has everything that has to do with education. Technical and vocational education, early childhood education, curriculum development, university education, research institutes, higher education loans board, all of those are in an education sector because they are all doing things that are related.
Education should get 60. More for education?
Yeah, energy for education 60.
Okay, that's one.
Energy 60, education 40.
So we start with the first one. How many would like us to allocate 40 to energy and 60 to education? By show of hands. How many are for 70-30 by a show of hands? Aya. How many are for 60-40? So our decision is 70-30.
Okay, so how many for more for infrastructure? How many for education?
Education 60, infrastructure 40. How many want that? By show of hand. Education 60, infrastructure 40. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 10 of us want education 60, infrastructure 40. How many want infrastructure, education 40, infrastructure 60? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.